والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين. أما بعد فقد قال الله عز وجل في شان حبيبه صلى الله عليه وسلم مخبرا وآمرا إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم وصل عليه والصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك وسلم عليك يا سيدي يا حبيب الله. All praise of Allah, Lord of all the universes, and the citation be upon His beloved, the best of creation, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Continue from where we left off in our last lecture in relation to the famous work of one of the great alims of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jamaat, Yaar al-Haq, which was written in relation to the verse of the Quran, Ja'ul Haq wa Zahaq al-Batil, that surely the truth has come and prevailed and falsehood has been obliterated. And Mufti Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi wrote this book when he realized that falsehood had crept in to the subcontinent and certain areas of Islam. Hence this book was written to give preference to the truth and to obliterate the falsehood. In our first lecture we discussed about the difference between Aqeeda, Usul and Furu'at, and the divisions and darajat in which certain commands fall into. And today we begin our first mawdu, first bahs, which Mufti Sahib mentions in his work, because we will follow the tartib, the order of the way that they have written also. And the first bahs which they speak upon is upon the issue of taqleed, an issue which every single one of you may have heard of this terminology, this istilah known as taqleed, and has also become a issue of debate and controversy in recent times also, where certain divisions have rejected this whole ideology, this whole concept of taqleed, meaning that following a certain madh'hab meaning a way. Literally madh'hab means a way, but when referred to in Sharia, madh'hab refers to a school of thought that which a person follows, and according to that he fulfills his practices in relation to the ahkam of Sharia. For example, salat, hajj, zakat, fasting, performing hajj, nikah, business, talaq, the affairs which a person faces on a day-to-day basis, the Islamic legal system which has been put forward from the Quran and Sunnah, and then that istinbat, istikhraj, ijtihad which was done by certain aima, scholars, that when a person follows, that is known as taqleed. Now taqleed, the word itself has two meanings, and every word has a lughawi ma'na and has a shari or istilahi ma'na, a meaning which is literally, that what is the literal meaning of a word, and then what is the meaning of that word in terms of its terminology and what it is referred to in that context. Taqleed, literally the word taqleed comes from qallada, which means a strap which a person has around his neck. A strap which a person has around his neck, that is known and called as a qallada. And why taqleed has been chosen as a terminology used for when a person follows a imam or a school of thought is that the word taqleed in Sharia means that when a person gives himself in following a school of thought in fiqh, that is known as taqleed. Where the link between the two is for example, you have an animal, and that animal, he has a strap on his neck. To that strap is connected a rope or something that you can pull, and then it is linked to that person's hand who is pulling. Now you have the animal there, and you have the person, the owner, who is pulling, and what connects the two is that strap. And with that strap, wherever that person takes, the other one will follow. So when you follow a school of thought and you do taqleed, then for example in our instance, because we are Hanafi, we follow the madh'hab of the Ahnaf, and our Imam is Imam al-A'imah, Siraj al-Ummah, Nu'man ibn Sabit, Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu. So you can see in this way that we are those in whose neck is a strap, and that strap and the rope is in the hand of Imam Abu Hanifa, and where he takes us, we go that way. And our assurity is this, that if we stick to that rope and we do not break away, Imam Sahib radiyallahu anhu will lead us and take us into paradise.
Subhanallah.
That is in a simple way, for you have to understand what the concept of taqleed is, and why taqleed has been given the name taqleed, why this concept has been called taqleed and not called ittiba, not called ita'at, not called something else. Why has it been called taqleed? It is for this reason, that we, and then another issue comes, that why also it is called taqleed. Some people say it is blind following. To an extent it is blind following, and why I will mention the line for that also, that when you have an animal, when that strap is on his neck, then he knows that it is my owner. Wherever he takes me, I will go. He does not question, or does not say take me here or take me there. Wherever he gets pulled, he will go. And that's why this is called taqleed, that when an imam or a scholar has given a ruling, a verdict, then we do not question, but we have trust. Just like that animal, for example a dog, he has this trust that my owner, he will not go and walk me into the sea, because why? He does not want to drown himself, so why will he let me drown? Or my owner will not walk into fire, because he will get burnt himself, so why would he burn me also? So wherever he takes me, he will take me somewhere safe, so he does not question. Just like that, we do not question also, we blindly follow, because we know that our imam will only take us to paradise. So like that, we follow behind, we do not question the verdicts, but we have trust. Because why? The Aimai-Deen, the Mujtahideen Mutlaq, there are different ranks which I will explain of ijtihad, and which ulama and which personalities of what level of knowledge they must be, that when they can do ijtihad, and what are the difference between a mujtahid and what we are today as a muqallid. So the muqallid is somebody who does taqleed. Taqleed is the concept. Somebody who does taqleed is known as a muqallid. There is a difference between muqallid and mukallif. Mukallif is somebody upon whom the rules and regulations of Sharia come upon. For example, a child, when somebody becomes mature, he becomes baligh, he is aqil, he has sense, common sense, he is sane, he is not mad, he knows the brief ins and outs, right and wrong, he has become mature now. Then that person becomes a mukallif, meaning that now the rules of Sharia apply to him. When he was a child, somebody who was 5 years old, he is not mukallif, because you cannot say to him that you have not prayed, therefore you are a sinner, or you have not fasted, now you are a sinner. Because why? The rules and regulations of Sharia do not apply to him, because yet he is only a child, he has not become mukallif. So when a person becomes mukallif, then now he is in that stage now where the rules of Sharia apply to him. A muqallid is somebody who does taqleed. That somebody says that I do taqleed of the madh'hab of Imam Abu Hanifa, or of Imam Shafi'i, or Imam Malik, or Imam Hanbal. That person now has become a muqallid. So when I use these terminologies, then you should be aware that what is muqallid, what is taqleed, what is muqallif, etc., etc. So these are the brief terminologies. Now what is taqleed? So in the meaning of the word itself, I will explain to you what the literal meaning is and what the istilahi shari mana is here. Like every word has a lughi mana and a istilahi mana meaning. Then like this, taqleed, when you follow something, when you follow someone, or you follow an issue, because now you are following, taqleed means to follow. Then taqleed is done of two types. One is taqleed shari, and one is taqleed ghair shari. One type of taqleed is that which is done according to and in the concept of Sharia. And one taqleed is that which opposes and which is not from Sharia. Not opposes but is not from Sharia. For example, one person, taqleed al-shari, an example would be when you do taqleed or follow a verdict in relation to salah, namaz. For example, we do taqleed of Imam Sahib that we raise our hands only once in prayer. When we do the open takbir, we say Allahu Akbar, we tie our hands. Then until the end of prayer, we do not do rafa yadayn, we do not raise our hands. Because why? We are doing taqleed of the fatwa of Imam Abu Hanifa, which is that you must do takbir in takbir iftitah, open takbir, you do rafa yadayn, after that you do not. So this is taqleed al-shari. We are doing taqleed in a matter of Sharia. Then one taqleed is taqleed al-shari, when you follow somebody's verdict on something which is not from Sharia. For example, a doctor or a hakim, a tabib, he says that if you use this stick from a so-and-so tree, and if you take the dust from there, you put it on your skin will get better. That may be true, and there's nothing wrong with following that, but that is not from the Sharia. So that does not become a regulation upon you that you must follow it. Because why? It is somebody's understanding, his research, and hence you follow that if you want to. If you don't, it is not a hujjat for you, and that is taqleed ghayr shari. Then within taqleed ghayr shari, then there's another type of taqleed which goes against the Sharia, which is haram. For example, those things which are rasam, meaning them sort of cultural activities which we do, or them traits which people have even till today, that for example in weddings or in certain things that happen, there are certain cultural things that we do which are against Sharia. But why do we say our parents did it, our grandparents did it, forefathers did it? So what do? We do not follow the Quran and Sunnah or an Imam, but we are doing taqleed of our forefathers. This is also a form of taqleed, which is done. This reason why I'm explaining to different things. So when those people attack you, they say your taqleed is haram or so on and so forth, then you can tell them that what falls in what category. Whether it is taqleed al-shar'i or ghayr shar'i, whether it's taqleed which is with muttabi' of Sharia, or whether it is taqleed which is against the Sharia. So for example, if somebody follows this culture that some things are allowed, for example some things which we do which are cultural do not go against the Sharia. Something which we do in our culture, for example our dress, though our dress, this where we wear now, it is part of the Sunnah also, because the Sunnah during their lifetime they also wore a kurta. But the way in which we wear it, for example with kadai or with other things, is a cultural thing. But it is not haram, it is allowed. But there are certain things which we do, and the only form of evidence we have for that thing is what? That our forefathers did it. So it says to you, superstitions for example, if a mirror breaks, then 7 years you will have bad luck. You hear this, don't you? In our homes. Or if a black cat walks past you, then you will have bad luck. If you walk under a ladder, you will have bad luck. If you wear your clothes and you wear them the wrong way around, then you will have bad luck. If you scratch this hand, then you will lose money. If you scratch this, you will get money. These are superstitions. And when you ask, where did you hear that from? Our mother used to say, or our forefathers used to say, it's not their fault because they weren't educated. They heard it from before them as well. But if you do taqleed of that, so you know what, now that will happen. If you scratch your left hand, now you will lose money. Or you will have bad luck. Tawbah, tawbah. This is taqleed which is against Sharia. This is not allowed. So to do taqleed in such a concept, it is disallowed. To do taqleed of something which is ghayr shari, but it is not haram, that is an option for a person to do or not. But the taqleed which we speak about is that taqleed which is taqleed al-shar'i, where you follow a imam or a fatwa or a verdict in matters of Sharia, and upon that will be your practicality of a certain action which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made for you. That's the taqleed that we are speaking about. And then when taqleed is done, there are certain things in which taqleed can be done, and there are certain issues which taqleed cannot be done. What can taqleed be done in, and what cannot taqleed be done upon? One type of taqleed is which is known as taqleed fil aqaid. Then there's that taqleed done of issues which are sarahatan, clearly, explicitly mentioned from the nas of the Quran and Hadith. Then there is taqleed in them masail, them issues which have been derived from the Quran and Sunnah via istinbat or istikhraj or ijtihad, meaning where something explicitly has not been mentioned in the Quran and Hadith. Something explicitly is not there in the Quran, it is not there in the Hadith. Hence, or there's something which is in the Hadith or Quran, but it contradicts, two things are there. So to choose one out of the two, ijtihad is done. For example, there are narrations in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did do Rafa Yadayn. More than once in his prayer, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised his hands. He did. This is Rasulullah's namaz, he did do this. And there are also narrations where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not, only once he raised his hands, and that was it. So now there are two which are opposite to each other. Then a mujtahid, what will he do? He will give tarjih to one ruling and take that, make it a Madh'hab mukhtar, and then he will give us fatwa upon that. That is ijtihad. Taqleed is done where? In aqaid, taqleed cannot be done. In aqaid, issues of usul, taqleed is not done. We do not follow no man, no person in issues of taqleed in aqaid, because why? Aqaid, the usul of deen, mean them things which are known as the dururiyat of deen, them things which are known as the necessities of religion, the articles of faith, are all proven directly from the Quran and Sunnah. So therefore there is no need for an opinion of any person. There is no need for an opinion, so you do not follow an opinion. Then them things which have been proven explicitly from the Quran and Sunnah, explicitly from sarahatan, then there is no taqleed in that. For example, aqimus salah, Allah says pray. Now there is no need to take an opinion of somebody, should we pray or should we not pray. It's clear, pray, you have to pray. Fast, give zakat, hajj, do ruku. These are them amrs which Allah has mentioned explicitly in the Quran. There is no need for you to take an opinion, or there is no need for contradiction. Why? Because it is mentioned there clearly. So taqleed is not done in them issues which have been explained clearly from the Quran and Sunnah. But taqleed is done in them issues which have not been mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah. So this is the point where some people are misunderstanding, and where them people, when they attack the Najdiya, then they use this point, why don't you follow Allah and Rasul instead? Why do you follow Imam Abu Hanifa? Because Imam Abu Hanifa only gave a fatwa on that issue which is not mentioned clearly in the Quran and Sunnah. So that which is clearly mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah, we do not do taqleed of any Imam, but we do ittiba and ita'at of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then them issues which have not been clearly mentioned or solved in the Quran and Sunnah for a layman to understand, then on them issues, the Aima, the scholars of fiqh in the past, they have given a verdict on them issues that this is the answer to that. Hence, this is our ruling. Then us as muqallid, what do? We take the opinion and we apply that to us and say Allah and His Rasul have not mentioned this clearly. This Imam has given this answer from the sources of the Quran and Sunnah. Hence, we follow that fatwa and we do taqleed in them issues. So remember, in aqaid, taqleed is not done. So when somebody says to you, why don't you follow Allah and His Rasul instead, rather following an Imam, then this is the answer. That in aqaid and usul, we do not do taqleed of any Imam. Imam Abu Hasan Ash'ari and Imam Abu Mansur Maturidi, radiyallahu anhuma, the two Aima of aqaid, the Ash'ariyya and the Maturidiyya, these are them scholars who have not given an opinion on aqaid, but they have done the wadahat, they have done the tashrih, they have explained what the usul and our aqaid are of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, and then we follow them and grasp onto them. They have not differed in opinion, because in usul there is no difference of opinion. Nobody can say that okay, there's one Allah, or can there be two? Mazalan, no. Usul is there is one Tawheed Allah. Rasul, Risalat, somebody who differs in opinion about a usul of deen, then that person is not regarded as a Muslim. For example, the finality of prophethood is a usul of deen, is a necessity that every Muslim must believe that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final messenger and Nabi of Allah. If somebody differs in opinion, says no, maybe another Nabi can come, maybe another Nabi has come, or a Nabi will come, or a Nabi is present, then that person has contradicted the Quran and the usul, hence that person is out of the fold of Islam. Then it is not an opinion of a Muslim, it is an opinion of a Ghair Muslim. So his opinion is thrown back in his face and he's out of Islam. The zururiyat of Islam, of deen, the necessities are proved from the Nas of Quran. In that there is no debate, there is no ikhtilaf, and there is no difference of opinion. So no taqleed is done in that. Taqleed is only done in them issues which have not been mentioned clearly from the Quran and Sunnah. Now here in relation to, I've mentioned to you now the three taqleeds. The meaning of taqleed, luwi and shari mana. Taqleed shari, taqleed ghair shari. The taqleed which is, people refer to aqaid and them masail which are mentioned sarahatan in the Quran and Hadith, and them which are not, and in which taqleed is allowed, in which taqleed is not allowed. So taqleed is only allowed in the third, the latter which I mentioned, about them issues which are not explicitly mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah. Moving on now. In relation to taqleed, once a person says that now I have given myself and I follow a certain madh'hab, I am a muqallid of a certain madh'hab, then for that person, in Nur al-Anwar and in Husami, these are books of usul of fiqh of the Ahnaf. Nur al-Anwar by Mullah Jivan rahmatullah alayhi, and Usul Shashi by Allama Nizamuddin Shashi rahmatullah alayhi, and Husami. These are them books which a person learns of usul of fiqh, and in there these issues have been discussed in relation to taqleed, and in there the definition of taqleed has been given. That taqleed, and Mufti Sahib mentioned this also, that taqleed is that thing, that concept, that when you take the qawl, the saying, or the fi'l, the action of a certain personality who is great in knowledge, and then you do not question it, and you use it as a hujjat, as a proof, evidence for you, that is taqleed. And taqleed can only be done in certain instances of certain personalities. Imam Ghazali has mentioned the same definition, Mullah Jivan has mentioned the same definition, Imam Shashi has mentioned the same definition, even Imam Suyuti has mentioned the same definition. When taqleed is done, in this instance, when a person, he decides now that he is in that stage that where he has become a muqallid of a certain madh'hab, the same point comes again here. That one thing which differentiates us from these, what they say is that why do you need to follow an imam? What you do is instead, those things from the Hanafi school of thought which are good to you, you take. Those from the Hanbali, those from the Maliki, those from the Shafi'i, and you pick and choose, and whatever suits you, you put together and you follow that. But taqleed cannot be done like that. For example, now, if you have a dog or an animal, and he has 4 straps in his neck, and each person is pulling him a different way, what will happen to you? You'll get strangled. You won't be guided. If someone pulls you from this way, the other pulls you from that way, one pulls you from here, one pulls you from there, all that will do is strangle you. It will not guide you. So a person who does such, he strangles his iman. He is not following the way of the Ahlul Sunnah. He is strangling his own iman, and in that way a person cannot succeed. Why? A person may seem that, why is that not possible? Because every imam, he had a different standard of usuls upon which he gave and took a verdict. Like we have muhaddiseen, scholars of hadith. Imam Bukhari's usul of ahadith is different to Imam Muslim's usul. That when Imam Bukhari regarded a hadith as sahih, he looked at certain qualities. Does this hadith and these ravis, do they have this quality? Imam Muslim, according to Imam Muslim, them qualities may not have been the criteria. Imam Muslim may have looked at some other qualities, and if they matched, then he will regard that as sahih. Just like that, the aima of fiqh, the mujtahideen, they all had different usuls, different principles upon which they would take a verdict. So if you follow Imam Abu Hanifa's verdict in certain issues, you must follow it in all issues. Because why? Then you are mixing up the usuls of taking a verdict, and in that case a person's fiqh is not correct, because half of your fiqh is built on certain principles and half is built on another principle, and they do not match, hence that will not work. So when you follow one, you must stick with one and remain with one. Amongst them, when a person in the ranks, you have the mujtahideen fi shar'a. The highest rank a person can be is those mujtahideen fi shar'a. They are known as the mujtahideen mutlaq, and they are four. Imam Abu Hanifa Nu'man ibn Sabit radiyallahu anhu, who was born in the 80th year after Hijrah. Then you have Imam Shafi'i radiyallahu anhu, Imam Malik, Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal. These are the four mujtahideen fi shar'a, meaning in Sharia they had the authority to do ijtihad and to give a verdict and opinion, and from them each a school of thought was formed. Though there were others as well, like Imam Abu Layth and other scholars also who formed school of thoughts, but due to frailties and due to a lot of them things which were similar to other imams, they were ignored. And these four, from the first century of Hijrah till today, these four schools of thought have been widely regarded, unanimously agreed as the four schools of thought which the Muslim Ummah abides and follows by. To this extent, you can see a recent survey showed that in 1.7 billion Muslim population, nearly 2 billion Muslims, amongst them 55% of the world population today, 55% of the world population today follows the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu. Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu. 55% of the Muslim world population follows Imam Abu Hanifa's madhab. Approximately 25 to 30% follow the madhab of Imam Shafi'i radiyallahu anhu. 10% roughly to 15 follows the madhab of Imam Malik. You will see this in North Africa mainly. Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria. These areas here is where the Maliki madhab is followed. 10% roughly of the Muslim population follows the Maliki madhab. 5% only follows the Hanbali madhab. And then there's 5% which does not follow any madhab at all. 5% roughly are those which the Ahlul Tashi come into also, because they do not follow madhab, and then the Ghair Muqallid who do not follow madhab. So you can see that 95% of the Muslim population abides by and follows the madhab. And amongst that, the majority is those who follow and do taqleed of the madhab of Imam Azam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu, Imam al-Aimah Siraj Umar radiyallahu anhu. So these four imams, these are mujtahideen mutlaq, mujtahideen fil shar'a. The next stage you have mujtahideen fil madhab. You have them scholars who can do ijtihad, not in the Sharia, but within their own madhab. They can do ijtihad and they can give an opinion. An example of this is Imam Abu Hanifa is mujtahideen mutlaq, and he is the Imam of the Hanafi madhab. Those who are mujtahideen fil madhab are, for example, his students like Qazi Abu Yusuf and Imam Muhammad bin Hassan Shibani rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi wa radiyallahu anhuma. That these, what do they do? That when Imam Sahib rahmatullahi alayhi's students they were, and after, in certain instances, after Imam Sahib was passing away, new things came to them. A hadith certain came to them which did not come to Imam Abu Hanifa. So on the same principles and usul which Imam Abu Hanifa gave a fatwa on, upon that same usul and principle, they gave a fatwa on the later, which may have differed. For example, the masla which we have in the UK of Isha Salah, prayer of Isha, that does it come in the days of June, the Turul Ayyam, them days which are very long, that does Isha come. Now according to Imam Sahib radiyallahu anhu, that until the whole darkness does not come, in brief, Isha does not come. According to the Sahibain, if the redness, the ahmar, if that disappears, Isha finishes, Isha starts. So there's difference. So what happens is, in certain instances, the scholars say, because Imam Sahib's basic principle is of yusr, of not of usr, meaning that when there is an issue there, take the easy and leave the hard one. Because why? Islam is of yusr, of easiness. So therefore take the easy and leave the hard. So to avoid the hardship, you take the fatwa of the Sahibain and you follow that, and that would be easy for everyone. So there's difference, but upon the same usul. So people like Imam Qazi Abu Yusuf and Imam Muhammad bin Hassan Shibani, these are mujtahideen fil madhab, not fi shar'a. In their own school of thought, they are mujtahideen. The next rank is mujtahideen fil masail. Now, mujtahideen fil masail mean that in the school of thought, they are incumbent to follow those who have come before them. But in certain masalas, in certain issues, they can do ijtihad. Only in certain issues which their expertise is upon, they can do ijtihad on that, and then they become mujtahideen fil masail within that school of thought, upon the same principles. For example, Alama Sarkhasi, Usul Sarkhasi, you hear about one of the famous books of Usul al-Fiqh. Imam Sarkhasi, he was an example of a mujtahid fil masail. Then you have the Ashab al-Takhrij. Ashab al-Takhrij are those, is the fourth rank, and these are them who cannot do ijtihad. They cannot do ijtihad, but what they can do is that what the Aima have mentioned before them, they can do akhaz and istikhraj of them masail, elaborate on them, and then give a ruling. There are Ashab al-Takhrij. Then after that you have Ashab al-Tarjih. Ashab al-Tarjih are them Aima, Fuqaha, that when there's two qawls, two fatwas, and they look at the issue and say, okay, in this manner we will give tarjih, we will give priority to this fatwa over this fatwa. So they give tarjih to one fatwa over another, and then they give the fatwa and they give that and mention that in the works, like Sahib Quduri or Sahib Hidayah, Imam Burhanuddin Marghinani rahmatullah alayhi, Sahib Hidayah or Sahib Quduri. These were them Aima who were Ashab tarjih. They could do that. Then you have the next rank, which is of Ashab Tamiz, that they can do Tamiz, make mumayyiz a certain issue, that when upon an issue there are different verdicts, they can choose one and make that the Madh'hab Mukhtar, and say this is the chosen Madh'hab of our scholars in this area, hence we will follow this way. After this sixth rank comes the seventh, which me and you are, and that is Muqallid, just Muqallid. So you can see that in today's day and age, what 99% of us are Muqallideen, that we are known as Ashabi Naqal, meaning what has been written in the past, everything has been dealt with. Our job is just to read the masla out and tell the people. Somebody asks you, you say Sahib Hidayah, or Sahib Quduri, or Sahib so on and so forth, Kanzul Daqaiq, or Sharaf Baqaya, they have given this fatwa, this is the issue. For example, Mufti Sahib, Ustadji, what's the masla, namaz happened, I missed one sajda out, what should I do? A person's job is not to say, let me look at the hadith, let me see what the masla is, I will do istikhraj, I will do istinbat. No. Open Hidayah, what does Imam Sahib Hidayah say? And that's the answer. That's what our job is. Not to look into masail. So what the difference is that what our scholars did 1300 years ago, the Wahhabiyah have tried to do that today. The Wahhabis are trying that today because their deen has started very late. Our deen, alhamdulillah, started from Rasulullah, because their deen has started very late. So they are at that stage now. But what they don't understand is that every issue which they are trying to deal with has already been dealt with by our scholars. Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu was that person. He was not like a normal one of these today who got bought on money and then they gave a fatwa on that issue. That Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu was that person that 9,650,000 masail of deen Imam Abu Hanifa gave a fatwa on. So imagine that. On 9.5 million juziyat of deen, Imam Sahib gave a fatwa on and gave a ruling, and has made a whole legal system until the day of judgment for people to follow. And today somebody comes and says that my opinion is this against Imam Abu Hanifa's opinion, then that person should be told that you have come 1400 years later and you are only coming to the darja of Muqallid. You're not even Ashab al-Tamiz, Ashab al-Tarjih, Ashab al-Takhrij, Mujtahideen fil Masail, Mujtahideen fil Madh'hab, then Mujtahideen Mutlaq. Look where Mujtahideen Mutlaq comes. And you want to get there straight away from here now? This is where you are and you want to get to there. And how did Imam Abu Hanifa become Mujtahideen Mutlaq? That Imam Sahab's own teachers were the likes of Sayyidina Anas bin Malik radiyallahu anhu. A Sahabi Rasul, Imam Sahab did ziyarat and took hadith from, according to different aqwal which have been written, the minimum amount is that Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu studied and saw 9 companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And others have written that Imam Sahib took hadith from and saw and studied from and heard from over 30 companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's Imam Sahib and his teachers. And today we want to ask you, because if you read books of fiqh, it's always mentioned in the Abi Hanifa, in the Na, in the Abi Hanifa, in the Zufar, in the Qazi Abu Yusuf, in the Muhammad bin Hassan, in the Ahnaf. It was always mentioned that according to Imam Abu Hanifa, according to the Ahnaf, according to Imam Muhammad, according to Imam Zufar. Today the opinion has become according to me. My opinion is this. But your opinion cannot be taken, because your opinion is from what? From what you have studied in limited resources. Imam Abu Hanifa's opinion is that which was the opinion of the companions of Rasulullah. So whose opinion should we take? Whose opinion should we take? So this is the basic disease which people have today, which as a result of that they question the concept of taqleed. However, this is something which they should fear and should not be the issue. Then again, this issue comes also that when taqleed is being done, then they say Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu, they question him. But now, till now, I have still not mentioned to you any dalail of taqleed. Where does the Quran or the Hadith state about taqleed? That I will mention to you in a short while. Before I'm giving you the whole brief background, because taqleed is something which every single person does. Every single one of us does taqleed. Many of us don't know why. We, for example, now majority of you will read namaz the way you do. Why? Because the masjid you go to, the imam reads namaz in that way. Or as young, your dad or your mom read namaz in that way. So you read namaz in the same way. When you go to Egypt, you see people read namaz in a different way. When you go to Morocco, you see people read namaz in a different way. When you go to Haramain, in Makkah Muazzam, Medina Munawwara, you see Muslims from all over the world. Every person has their own way of reading namaz. You think to yourself, why am I reading namaz in this way? Why is somebody's hands here and mine are here? Why is somebody's here? Why is somebody's here? Why is somebody doing this more than once? Why am I only doing it once? Why is somebody raising the finger doing this? Why do I only lift it once? These questions rise. So therefore you should know that why you read namaz in the way you do. This is taqleed of Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu. And like this, every Muslim needs taqleed of a madh'hab, and that madh'hab teaches you the way of how you fulfill your daily affairs of namaz, roza, hajj, nikah, etc. etc. Upon Imam Abu Hanifa, when those people who attack, they use the issue that Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu said that and Imam Malik said, Imam Hanbal said, Imam Shafi'i said, that any sahih hadith which you see which goes against my verdict, then throw my verdict on the wall and use that hadith. Zakir Naik said this a few years ago. What these daft people don't understand is that Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu came in when 80 AH, which was still the first 100 years after migration, passed away in the 2nd century. Imam Shafi'i radiyallahu anhu was born on the day when Imam Abu Hanifa passed away. I read this here. Imam Shafi'i radiyallahu anhu was born on the day where Imam Abu Hanifa passed away. And Imam Shafi'i radiyallahu anhu is buried in Cairo, Egypt. I've been to his Mazar Sharif in Egypt, where they are buried. Imam Malik was also at the same time as Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu. And Imam Ahmed was at the same time as Imam Shafi'i. So these are them scholars who came in the 1st, 2nd century, 3rd century of Islam. Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, Imam Nasai, Imam Ibn Majah, Imam Abu Dawud, Imam Tirmizi. The 6 Imams and who formed the books, the compilations of Sihah Sittah, the 6 authentic books. All 6 of them came after these 4 Imams. All these 6 came after these 4 Imams. Today, what do we use as a criteria for an authentic hadith or not? Bukhari, Muslim, the Sahihain, As-Sahul Kutub Ba'da Kitabillah, Sahih Bukhari, or any other book. We say, look, is this hadith Sihah Sittah? We say, Sahih Bukhari, okay, that's Sahih Bukhari. Then they would say, look, in Sahih Bukhari, this hadith is written there. Imam Abu Hanifa's fatwa is against this. How can this be true? You have to follow the hadith, you have to leave Imam Bukhari, Imam Abu Hanifa. What the people don't understand is that when Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu gave a ruling upon a certain hadith he heard, how many chains was there between him and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Imam Sahab radiyallahu an, Musnad Imam Abi Hanifa is the book which Imam Abu Hanifa compiled of ahadith, which is approximately 500 to 600 hadiths. Imam Bukhari radiyallahu an had thousands of hadiths in the Sahih Bukhari. He was asked that amongst these ahadiths which you have compiled, which one are you most proud of? They said, out of all the hadiths which I have compiled, there are approximately 20 ahadiths which I am most proud of. And they asked, why? Why are you proud of these 20? He said, because why? That every hadith is how that Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Imam Bukhari is here, and in between we have ravis, narrators, and sometimes there could be 4 narrators, 5, 2, 3, whatever it is, between you and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam Bukhari states all the hadiths that I have are either 4 narrators, 5 narrators, 6 between me and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The ones that I am most proud of are those that between me and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam there are only 3 narrators. They are the closest, brings me the closest to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that there are only 3 ravis between me and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam Abu Hanifa's Musnad, in there, do you know that there are 500 hadiths which are sulasiyat, meaning 500 hadiths in which there are only 3 links between Imam Abu Hanifa and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam Bukhari has 20, 23 roughly, and some of them are repeated. But without repetition, there's about 14. Imam Abu Hanifa has 500. And look at Imam Sahib's Shan. People today complain that there are 80 hadiths of Imam Abu Hanifa's 80, that in between Imam Abu Hanifa and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam there's only 1 link. That Imam Sahib states, I heard from Anas and Anas heard from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Only 1 link between Imam Abu Hanifa and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now what makes a hadith sahih or daif or majroo, ghair majroo, etc., mu'awwal or mursal, whatever it is the chain of narration, the isnad. You have matan is text, isnad is the chain of narration. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then the Sahaba ikram, upon the Sahaba ikram, no jara can be done. Jara means to question their credibility. The Sahaba ikram, upon them no jara can be done. All the muhaddithin agree because they are all adil. After the Sahaba ikram, the tabi'in, after that, every person is inspected. That so-and-so person who narrated this hadith, there are the qualities. In Nur Anwar, in Kitab al-Sunnah, this is mentioned, that the qualities are, first he must be a Muslim obviously, he must be aqil, sane, then he must have quwwat al-zabt, meaning he must have good memory, that person. Then he must be adil, he must be just, fair, he should not be a liar. If these qualities are in that person, then if every ravi, every narrator fulfills these qualities, then that is a sahih hadith. If, for example, one out of all of them, his memory was not very good, and he says, Rasulullah maybe said this, maybe said that, then that hadith becomes weaker. Then if there's one person in the chain who was a liar, then the hadith becomes completely denied, munkar, because why? He was a liar, so that hadith cannot be accepted from him, because he narrated it. So depending on the chain of narration, a hadith is regarded as sahih or not. But when Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu, his ahadith, there was no chain to be questioned, because it was him, the Sahaba ikram and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in the time of Imam Abu Hanifa, there was no istilah of sahih or ghair sahih, or zaif or munkar or whatever it may be. This did not exist, because this came after centuries when narration chains were built. Then these questions arose. The usul of hadith began. Then, not during the time of Imam Abu Hanifa. So maybe there is a hadith which later became daif, that after Imam Abu Hanifa, a certain person came in the chain who was a liar or was a weak person, and hence that hadith became weak. But when Imam Abu Hanifa narrated it, then it was not weak, then it was not daif, then it was not munkar, then it was all ghair majroo, because why? Imam Abu Hanifa narrated directly from the tabi'in and from the Sahaba ikram of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so there's no questioning there. So these people today who use the balance of Bukhari and then compare that to the ahadith of Imam Abu Hanifa, they should realize that that is no comparison. Because Imam Bukhari and his usul of hadith came much after. Imam Abu Hanifa came much before. And then if you want to question Imam Bukhari and use his hadith as a standard, then Imam Bukhari himself was a Shafi'i. Imam Bukhari himself followed a madhab, he was a muqallid. So technically, those people today who do not follow a madhab, they should not follow Imam Bukhari either. Because Imam Bukhari was Shafi'i. So today, it's those who say following an Imam is shirk and kufr. Why do they follow Imam Bukhari? Imam Muslim was Shafi'i. Imam Nasa'i was Shafi'i. Imam Tirmizi was a muqallid. Imam Ibn Majah was a muqallid. Imam Abu Dawud was a muqallid. Every single Imam of the hadith, the muhaddithin were all muqallideen. So which Imam will they follow them? They were all against their aqaid. Hence, therefore, this issue which people use and you hear them, as Sahih Hadith, you should throw it against the wall, then this is not me and you to throw against the wall. Who are me and you to see a hadith today and say Imam Abu Hanifa was wrong? If this was to be questioned, then the first people to question this should have been those who came 1,000 years ago. Imam Bukhari came over 1,000 years ago. When Imam Bukhari mentioned this hadith, the scholars of that time should have said, oh, this hadith goes against Imam Abu Hanifa, therefore we will follow this. No one has done that till today, and today you have come and you say, our madhab, what we follow is the correct way. This technically and logically cannot work. So therefore this argument which people give, this is flawed as well, and this has no space in technicalities in relation to taqleed. Next point. Coming on to the dalail now, that there are things which are the proofs of following a madhab, following an imam, and why we follow certain imams and where should we. In the Quran, you hear the verse, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, Sirat al-Lazina an'amta alayhim. Ya Allah, show us, well, guide us on the straight path. Sirat al-Lazina an'amta alayhim. Which path? That path of those people who you have favored. Those people who you have favored. Approximately 23 mufassirin have given this tafsir of this ayah, saying that when a person in prayer is reading namaz, he says to Allah, you have shown me the straight way, now keep me on the straight way. Which way? The way of those who you have favored. Who has Allah favored, and what is the way? The way they state that you are talking about the path is that path which will take you to paradise. In relation to your, because you are in namaz, in salah, you are in a fard, in an action, in a practical action. So you are asking Allah to keep you praying, keep you on this action, keep you practicing in the way of Islam. But according to praying, according to whose way? So now the question arises, you are saying to Allah, Ya Allah, keep me on this path of praying, keep me on this path of fasting, keep me on this path of giving zakat. And the Sirat al-Lazina means, in other words, the word Sirat comes before and the word Sirat comes there, that Ya Allah, keep me praying on the way of those people who prayed before me, who you have favored. Keep me fasting on the way of those who you have blessed. Keep me giving zakat on the way of those who you have blessed. So this refers to those who have been blessed are that Ya Allah, keep me praying according to the ways of those you have blessed, who are the mujtahideen and the fuqaha. The way that they have told me how to pray and how to fast and give zakat, keep me on their way. 23 mufassirin have given this opinion that this refers to the an'amta alayhim, refers to the fuqaha and the mujtahideen. Next verse, and this is the most one of the verses which takes the darja of khas in proving taqleed, that when Allah says in the Quran, ati'ullaha wa ati'u rasul wa ulil amri minkum, that do ita'at. Ati'ullah means to follow. Ata'at, ati to means Allah is giving an order. Ati'ullah, follow Allah. Wa ati'u rasul, and follow his rasul. So follow Allah and follow his rasul. Those who say to you today that do taqleed of Allah and rasul only, nothing else. Wallahi, only Allah and his rasul sallallahu. Why anybody else? If there was no need for anybody else, Allah would not mention here ati'ullah wa ati'u rasul wa ulil amr. Follow Allah, follow his rasul, and follow those who are above you, who are greater than you, who have authority on you in issues. minkum upon you, the ulil amr. And who are ulil amr here? The ulil amr here, according to the jamhur of the muhaddiseen and the fuqaha, mufassirin, jamhur, majority of the mufassirin state, Allah is stating follow Allah, is saying ati'ullah, follow Allah. This means that in them actions and them orders which Allah has portrayed upon you, namaz, roza, hajj, what Allah has ordered you, you must follow that. But at the same time, there are certain things which a person cannot follow of Allah. For example, now, because Allah is rahmah is for everyone, Allah gives food to the kuffar also. You don't see me. Who feeds the kuffar? Allah feeds the kuffar. When the kuffar have victory, for example at Uhud, when the battle of Uhud, Allah gave them fatah. Nobody can say that Allah did not give. Allah gave them fatah. There are them actions which Allah does, but we cannot do that. We cannot assist a kafir. We cannot give victory to a kafir. We cannot support a kafir. Allah can is Rabb. So ita'at is only done to the orders which Allah has given. That is where ita'at is mahdud to. Wa ati'u rasul wa ulil amr. So you see here Allah said ati'ullah wa ati'u rasul, but He has not said ita'at for the ulil amr. He has used the waw there, the ati'u rasul wa ulil amr. That follow Allah, follow His Rasul and those above you in knowledge. Together in one. This waw which has come is for one, that follow His Rasul and those who have come. Meaning that for Allah the ata'at is mahdud to His orders. But for His Rasul and those who are ulil amr, meaning everything which they say and do, you must follow. So whatever Rasulullah did, you must do also. And those who are ulil amr, their qawl and their fi'l is also for you to do ita'at and follow also. And who are the ulil amr? The mujtahid, the mufassirin have all stated, majority of them, that the ulil amr here, that when Allah refers to the Quran, Rasul refers to the Sunnah, and ulil amr were those who clarified them issues which were not in the Quran and Sunnah clearly. And they were the fuqaha, the mujtahideen. And Allah is stating here that if you want to be muflihun, if you want to be amongst the successful ones, then follow Allah, follow His Rasul, and follow the mujtahideen, the fuqaha. Quran is stating this. So those who say only Allah and Rasul, then they must counter this verse. This is ulil amr also. So Allah, His Rasul, and ulil amr. Carrying on from this, further on, Mufti Sahib mentions many verses of the Quran, but I'm only mentioning 3 to you, basic ones for you to understand. Then when you understand the terminology, which I mentioned to you now, took the last hour to mention to you, then all issues become clear. Because then there is no argument. Because what they say to a person is, Hadith, follow this, why do you follow Imam Sahib, follow the Quran, follow Hadith only. Now you understand that in what issues we follow and do taqleed. So that ends the argument really. But to prove that we do taqleed in the correct way, this concept of following somebody other than Allah and Rasul is proved from the Quran. Here again in a verse of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about that day, Yawma Nad'u, that day of judgment, when it will come, Yawma Nad'u kulla unasin bi imamihim. That day, what will happen? Nad'u, Allah states that every person will be called from the unas, from the people, from the mankind, bi imamihim, with their imam. Every person will be called and gathered with their imam. So wherever their imam is, the people will be gathered and will be called to them and state, now you go with your imam. Upon this issue in Tafsir Ruh al-Bayan, upon this verse, subhanallah, in Tafsir Ruh al-Bayan, Imam Al-Lusi mentions that what does here mean by bi imamihim? Yani aw muqaddamin fi ad-dini fayaqalu ya Hanafi ya Shafi'i. That there the voice will come stating that when they will say, oh, you come gather with your imam. In what sense they will say that gather with your imam? Oh, Hanafis gather with Imam Abu Hanifa. Oh, Shafi'is gather with Imam Shafi'i. Oh, Hanbalis gather with Imam Hanbal. Oh, Malikis gather with Imam Malik. That the imam on that day will be the mujtahideen that you follow. The imam is someone you follow. It won't be your masjid imam, because masjid imam can change maybe twice in 1 year. But that imam which you follow as who is your mujtahid and who you are doing taqleed of is not your masjid imam, but is that imam which you followed all your life. and that are them imams which are mujtahideen. So on the day of judgment, when Allah say, come with your imams, then there will be certain who will stand behind Imam Abu Hanifa. There will be people like Dada Ganj Bakhsh Ali Hujwari who will stand behind Imam Abu Hanifa. Because in Kashf al-Mahjub is mentioned that when Dada Sahib was once doing muraqabah, so he was resting and doing muraqabah, being present in Allah's Rasul's majesty, and this he was doing muraqabah next to the grave of Sayyidina Bilal radiyallahu anhu in Damascus. And he said, while I was doing muraqabah, I saw that I was in the Haram Sharif next to the Kaabatullah. So I was physically next to the grave of Sayyidina Bilal, but in my muraqabah I was next to that place that Bilal stood on top and gave azan, the Kaaba. And from Babe Bani Shayba, now these doors don't exist because now it's become Bab Malik Abdul Aziz and Malik Fahd, etc. But before these used to be named after Sahaba Ikram. That from Babe Bani Shayba and after tribes, I saw Rasulullah enter into Masjid al-Haram. And with him he had a person who was old in age, he had white hair, but Rasulullah was showing love to him like as if he was a young child. How you do lad pyar with a young child. Rasulullah was showing love to this person like a child. And when they came close to me, Rasulullah said, Ya Rasulullah, I go, who is this personality which you are showing so much love to? And Rasulullah said, oh Ali Hujwari, have you still not recognized him? Have you not recognized him? This is the Imam of my Ummah, Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu. This is Imam Abu Hanifa. Dada Sahib stayed after hearing Rasulullah say, have you not recognized him as yet? And I realized that now my time has come also. And they said, I with pride say that I am a muqallid of Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu. So Dada Sahib will be standing behind Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu. Then you will have Khwaja Gharib Nawaz Moinuddin Chishti Ajmeri rahmatullah alayhi, who was a Hanafi also, who will be standing behind Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu. Those who are Chishtis, they will be standing behind Imam Abu Hanifa. So take it this way, Imam Bahauddin Naqshband Bukhara, they were Hanafi, they will be standing behind Imam Abu Hanifa. Sayyidina Ghaus Pak Sarkar, Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani will be standing behind Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal, because they were Hanbali. And then you will have those who are Shafi'i, and Shafi'i is Imam Bukhari, he will be behind Imam Shafi'i. Imam Muslim will be behind Imam Shafi'i. Imam Suyuti will be behind Imam Shafi'i. Then scholars like Qazi Ayyaz will be behind Imam Malik. So take it in this way, that those who are Chishtis and Naqshbandis, they will be standing behind their Imams, and their Imams will be standing behind their Imams. So every person in their fiqh, what they follow, on that day when you will be with your Imam, you will be behind those who you followed in your affairs of ijtihad and in affairs of fiqh. And that is who the Imam is being referred to in the Quran, and which the Mufassirin have spoken about. So these are them verses of the Quran in brief, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is stating. So one verse which you mentioned, that Allah is stating, those people say only Allah and Rasul, Allah and Rasul, Allah and Rasul. The first verse states that, Ya Allah, show me the way of those who you have favored. And amongst those who Allah have favored are the mujtahideen. Then those who say you should follow only Allah and Rasul, only Allah Rasul, only Allah Rasul, Allah is stating Allah, Rasul and Ulil Amr. Those who have more knowledge than you in affairs of deen, fiqh, the mujtahideen. And this one here, they will say, Imam, why do you need an Imam for? Why do you need an Imam? Because they don't knowledge the Quran. Literally this verse you went to the brain down know, because they've only read certain verses which they've been told to read, and that's it. They say this concept of Imam, that's why you always hear them, Abu Hanifa ne kaha, Abu Hanifa said this, Abu Hanifa said this. They will never use the word Imam. Even, for example, Abu Usama Dhahabi, he gave a talk 5-6 months ago, and in there, the badbakht person, what did he say? He said that, Wallahi, Imam Abu Hanifa, we are not aware whether he is in the hellfire or whether he is in the heaven. He is not aware. Because we pray he is in heaven. Because we pray that he is in heaven, but we do not know. Wallahu alam. Now this person, he is so zaleel that he does not know that one, with your prayers, you're going to send Imam Hanifa to heaven. Because we pray that he goes to heaven, number one. Number two, what he does not realize is that Rasulullah said that those people who have seen me in the state of Iman, hellfire is haram upon them. The Sahaba Ikram, Jami Tirmizi, Sahih Hadith, Ghair Majhul. Rasulullah said the person who sees me, hellfire is haram upon him. Aw ra'a mar ra'ani, or a person who has not seen me, but he sees the one who saw me, hellfire is haram for him also. And Imam Sahib, it's ittifaq that he saw at least 9 companions. So technically, according to the hadith of Rasulullah, Imam Abu Hanifa is guaranteed paradise. Hellfire will not even touch him. So you are questioning today whether Imam Abu Hanifa is in hellfire or heaven, and you want to pray for him. You can keep your prayers. You should worry about your own self whether you will go to hellfire or not. And the way you're going, you most likely you will go to hellfire. But the understanding here is very simple. The word Imam comes from the Quran, and Imam has been used for the Mujtahideen. Finishing off now and moving on to them a hadith in which narrations in which doing taqleed shakhsi. Okay, one is now following something else other than Allah and Rasul, but following one person, doing taqleed of a personality, taqleed shakhsi. Where does that come? The narration comes, one is in relation to the hadith in the Sahih of Imam Bukhari. 2 narrations I will give, and both will be from the Sahih of Imam Bukhari. One Mufti Sahib mentions here, one I have written myself here with me as an extra reference. Mufti Sahib mentions here in relation to, in the Sahih Bukhari, that in the chapter of Fara'id and business, that Sayyidina Abu Musa Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu, a Sahabi Rasul and an Ajilla Sahabi, not a normal Ajilla, a Jaleel Qadr. Sayyidina Abu Musa Ash'ari and Sayyidina Mawla Ali radiyallahu anhu, who is Babe Madinatul Ilm, Ana Madinatul Ilm wa Aliyul Babuha, who is the door to the city of knowledge, that they were asked a masala, a question. They were asked a question by somebody, that we ask you a masala, give us the answer. And what was replied? That Imam Abu Musa Ash'ari and Imam Sayyidina Ali al-Murtaza radiyallahu anhu replied by saying, La tus'alu fi ma dama hazal hibru fikum, or hibru hazihil ummah, both narrations come. That do not ask us any question. Do not ask us any question or for any fatwa until Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, the teacher of the ummah, is amongst you. Sayyidina Ali, Mawlai Kainat, Aqd al-Ummah, the judge of the Ummah. Imam Abu Musa Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu, a Jaleel Qadr Sahabi Rasul, they been asked a question, and they stating that if Ibn Mas'ud, and who's Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, Sahaba Ikram you should be aware of, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, he is Hibrul Ummah. Rasulullah said that he is amongst the teachers of the Ummah, of the whole nation is a teacher. And every Thursday, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, every Thursday, would do dars of Quran Hadith to the Sahaba Ikram. He would teach the Sahaba Ikram, his Ustad, the Sahaba Ikram, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu. And Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Rasulullah also said about him, that Raditu ma radiya bihi hibrul hazir ummah. That Rasulullah said, I am satisfied. Radi, I am satisfied on every issue for my ummah, which Abdullah ibn Mas'ud is also satisfied. So meaning my rada is in the raza of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu. Because why? He is the ustad of this ummah. Sayyidina Ali al-Murtaza and Imam Abu Musa Ash'ari are stating that if Ibn Mas'ud is alive amongst us, then ask him whatever fatwa he gives, you follow that, we follow that also. This was the verdict. So now those people who say that you should not follow one person, that the shakhsi, following one person is not allowed, then they should look at this hadith in the Sahih of Imam Bukhari, that even Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu anhu and the other Sahaba Ikram, they said follow him. He is there, take his fatwa, and that is enough. And this is, and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud is what that person, one of these was mentioning to him, that who was he and why we have such a connection with him. Because Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu's main ustad, who he took main knowledge of bil wasta and bila wasta, was Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu. And in relation to those people today who say the same ghair muqallid, that our namaz is correct, and they always question the Hanafis and say their namaz is against the sunnah. Because why? They only do takbir once, only do once. And they'll get some, the young people will pick up Sahih Bukhari, Kitab al-Salah, and there's Rasulullah raise his hands and let's look at Sahih Bukhari states, why don't you do it? The hadith in Sahih Bukhari is there, but the usula mentioned before as well, tariqat masluka, that when you have 2 hadiths, for example, when you have 2 hadiths which come, and this is for example now, the lifetime of Rasulullah, that at the age of 40, when Rasulullah announced his prophethood, and 63 when Rasulullah left this world. If, for example, just say for argument's sake, this is 50 and this is 60. At the age of 50, the Rasulullah said something and gave an order to mankind. For example, the issue of raising hands more than once in prayer, Rafa Yadayn, this was done in the early times when the munafiqeen would hold idols below their armpits. Rasulullah said, raise your hands, so if they are, they'll fall out. Later on, Rasulullah at the later age mentioned not to raise your hands. As a hadith qawli in Sahih Muslim, where Rasulullah said, do not raise your hands in prayer. Lam yarfa yadayhi, do not raise your hands. Now there are two hadiths. One states do something, the other one contradicts that. Both are from Rasulullah, both could be sahih. Which one should you follow? Here there is a usul called tariqa masluqa, meaning that when there are two narrations which contradict one another, both from Rasulullah, whichever narration comes closer to the blessed demise of Rasulullah, that is given priority over that which came before. Why? Because at the age of 63, before Rasulullah's demise from this world, the verse of the Quran was revealed, Yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum. That today we have completed your religion. So whichever hadith comes closer to ikmal deen and itmam ni'mah, comes closer to the completion of deen and comes closer to the completion of ni'mah, blessings of Allah, that it is what is taken over that which came before. That is the usul. So what people will do now, this hadith we can't reject. We can't reject it and say Rasulullah did not raise his hands, because then you'll be doing kufr. Rasulullah did raise his hands in prayer more than once, and it is in Sahih Bukhari. But that came at an earlier stage. And of not raising hands, that came at a later stage. So hence Imam Abu Hanifa was of this opinion that you take the one which came later, and he took this one over this. And when did he take it later? Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, this hadith is in Jami' Tirmizi, Sunan Abi Dawud, Ibn Majah and Nasa'i. 4 of the 6 books of hadith, authentic ones, this hadith is in there. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu was sitting amongst 4,000 Sahaba Ikram and Tabi'in. 4,000 students. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud states to them, Ala usalli salata Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Do you want me to show you, demonstrate to you how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would pray? Say subhanallah for this. Now that's I'm going to a speech. Say subhanallah. That he is stating that, should I not show you how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would pray? They say, Ya ibn Mas'ud, show us. They could have questioned, no, you don't need to show us. We know already. Of course they knew, they prayed already. But they, Ibn Mas'ud, maybe some of us do Rafa Yadayn more than once. Maybe some of us put our hands here. You show us, you are the ustad, whatever you show, we will do that also. So Fasalla, Sayyidina Abdullah Mas'ud prayed. And the hadith says, وَلَمْ يَرْفَ يَدَيْهِ إِلَّا مَرَّةً وَاحِدًا. That the hadith states that Sayyidina Abdullah Mas'ud, he prayed, Fasalla. وَلَمْ, and this lam that comes, lam jazima comes for to neglect, that no, only lam yarfa yadayhi, he did not raise his hands except for once in his own prayer. That's Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, who is the ustad of the ummah, who is that teacher which Rasulullah himself appointed, who Sayyidina Ali would take fatwas of. It states that Rasulullah only did takbir once in his prayer. So now when people say that your namaz is incorrect, then they should fear Allah and they should look that Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, that how did he used to pray? And he was Hibrul Ummah, the ustad of the ummah. And the final hadith which I have, which I hold with me, is in relation to again Taqlid al-Shakhsi, that once, and this again comes in Sahih of Imam Bukhari. First was Sahih Bukhari, the second one about Rafa Yadayn was in the 4 of the Sahih Sita, Nisa'i, Ibn Majah, Abu Dawud, Tirmizi, and this hadith is in the Sahih Bukhari also, Kitab al-Hajj. First was in Kitab al-Faraid, this is in Kitab al-Hajj, the book of pilgrimage. And Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiyallahu ta'ala an, the first cousin of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Chachazad by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is also Hibrul Ummah. Hibr Ummah means the teacher of the Ummah. There were 3 Hibrul Ummah: Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Abdullah ibn Abbas, and Abdullah ibn Umar. These are the 3 teachers. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud in Masalas of Fiqh, Abdullah ibn Abbas in Tafsir, Abdullah ibn Umar in Hadith. So these are the three teachers which Rasulullah appointed as teachers. Abdullah ibn Abbas from Makkah came to Medina Munawwara. And the people of Medina, they went to Makkah Muazzama and they asked him a masala, Sahih Bukhari Kitab al-Hajj, that what is your opinion in relation to a woman who comes for Hajj and all her other arkan of Hajj are complete. She's done Umrah, she's done Wuquf Arafat, she's done everything that Muzdalifah, Mina, Araf, everything she's done. But Tawaf-e-Wida, which is one of the wajibat of Hajj, the final Tawaf, before she does that Tawaf, she comes into her state of menstruation, her Mahana Uzr. So now she cannot do Tawaf. In this state, what should she do? Should she wait 10 days and then do her Tawaf? Or can she go and her Umrah and her Hajj is done? Question is asked to Abdullah ibn Abbas. So we're not asking a normal companion, we're asking Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. And Abdullah ibn Abbas replies by stating that she can leave without doing Tawaf and Wida, her Hajj is complete. They state that we do not accept what you said. La na'khuzukum, we do not take what you said. They said, if you do not believe me, ask Sayyidina Anas bin Malik. His mother asked this question to Rasulullah and they gave this answer in front of me. They state, we still do not accept what you said. Ahl Medina said, we still do not accept. He said, why? And they replied that in Medina, our Mufti, he told us that a person's Hajj is not complete. A person's Hajj is not complete, they must wait. And you are saying it is complete, so we will not follow you, we will follow him. Sayyidina Anas radiallahu anhu said, so then why did you ask me? They said, because we assume that you will do tasdeeq of what our Imam said. So they said, Sayyidina Anas said, what do you want me to do now? They said, you tell our Mufti in Medina, if he tells us that, we will accept. Hadith stops there. And now look at this issue here. This is Taqleed al-Shakhsi. And this is a khas dalil for Taqleed al-Shakhsi. That Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, Sahabi Rasul, he is stating a masala. But because the people of Medina, they were muqallid of the Imam and Mufti in Medina, they did not take the verdict of Abdullah ibn Abbas and said, we will only take it from the mouth of our Mufti in Medina. So this shows that following one personality in Masail of Fiqh proves from the Sahaba Ikram and Qarn Awal, the first generation, that they would even do taqleed and follow one person. That here the people of Medina who came for Hajj, they could have followed, but they said, no, you are Mufti in Makkah, we have a Mufti in Medina. Our Mufti in Medina will give the fatwa, we will follow, and if you want him to change, you tell him, he will tell us, then we will change our opinion and we will do as you say. So this again now, this hadith from the Sahih of Imam Bukhari, Kitab al-Hajj, those people who deny taqleed, that following one person is not allowed, then they should look at the Sahaba Ikram, that how they would even leave the fatwa of certain Sahaba Ikram and follow their own Imam, and follow their own Mufti, who would be the mustahid in their time. So hence, those people who deny the issue of taqleed and following a madh'hab is something against the sunnah, this is something which Allah has ordered himself to do, that following other than Allah and His Rasul is something which Allah has told us to do. Then those Aima and Mujtahideen doing that taqleed is only in certain issues. Them issues which the Quran and Sunnah has not explicitly mentioned, only then we do taqleed in their fatawas, in them issues. Then we ask that why is it that for 1400 years nobody spoke, but today you have remembered to speak? Then if you are right, then what is Imam Bukhari? What is Imam Muslim? What is Imam Ibn Hajar? What are the Imam Shah? All these scholars which you even quote, apart from Ibn Taymiyyah, they are all muqallideen. Only Ibn Taymiyyah questioned ijtihad and taqleed. Before that, nobody questioned it. So hence, as the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, what we do and our practice has been that practice which Rasulullah and Allah ordered themselves, which the Sahaba Ikram did, and from then till today, the Ummah of Rasulullah has been doing so. And inshallah this will continue to do so, because we also want to be called by Allah on the Day of Judgment with our Imam. And our Imam will be Imam Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu. Our Imam will be that Imam who is the light of the Ummah, Siraj al-Ummah. And that Imam who was an Imam and who solved over 9 million masail for this Ummah. That Imam who is such an Imam, that Imam Shafi radiallahu anhu, al-fuqaha kulluhum ayalu li Abi Hanifa, that all the fuqaha, he was including me. Imam Shafi said, all the fuqaha, including me, are like babies compared to Imam Abu Hanifa. Look at our Imam. Imam Muhammad bin Hassan Shaybani, who is a student of Imam Abu Hanifa, he is the Ustad of Imam Shafi. How proud should we be that our Imam is that Imam, who is Imam al-Aima, who is the Imam of Imams, and who is the teacher of teachers, and who is the direct student of the Sahaba Ikram of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and who is that personality who is the result of the dua of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, who is the result of the supplication of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, and is the result of the prophecy of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that said that from this area of Persia a man will come that if there is knowledge by the stars he will be able to grasp that also. And this is that man from Faras. This is that man from Persia that who 1300 years ago wrote about the masala that how a person would read namaz if he was to go on the moon. People today have gone on the moon. Imam Sahib gave a fatwa then that if you do go on the moon, this is how you read namaz there. Look at our Imam who we are following and who people question today. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them guidance, and may Allah keep this strap on our neck of these Aima and these Mustahideen, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this world and on the day of judgment give us the ability to be behind and be under the guidance of Imam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu ta'ala. Wa ma alayna illa al-balagh al-mubin.